Have you ever worked late at the office? You know that feeling when the building is almost empty? The lights are dimmed and every little sound seems amplified? The hum of the computers, the creak of a distant door, the quiet groan of the elevator in one particular downtown high-rise. That late-night quiet was shattered by something truly inexplicable. It started subtly. Few employees, the ones burning the midnight oil, began sharing stories. Strange stories. They'd get into the elevator, press the button for the lobby, and feel the familiar descent. But then it would stop. Unexpectedly, the chime would ring, but the floor indicator would be blank. When they looked at the control panel, no button was lit. The elevator had simply decided to stop on its own between floors, or so they thought. When the doors would slide open, it wasn't a familiar office lobby that greeted them. It was something else entirely. A long, narrow hallway stretched out into complete darkness. There were no lights, no windows, no company logos on the walls, no doors leading to offices. It's just a silent, black void. The air that drifted into the elevator was cold and musty, like a place that had been sealed off for centuries. Most people, terrified, would frantically jab the door close button until the doors mercifully shut and the elevator continued its journey. They'd get to the lobby, hearts pounding, and try to convince themselves it was just a mechanical glitch, a weird dream brought on by exhaustion. But it kept happening. The stories multiplied. It was always after midnight. It's always the same elevator car, number 4, and always the same result. A stop at a place that didn't exist. The rumors grew so persistent that the building management had to investigate. They brought in the elevator maintenance company. The technicians ran every diagnostic imaginable. They checked the motors, the cables, the computer systems. Everything was perfect. There were no rogue commands, no glitches, no reason for the elevator to stop between registered floors. They were adamant. It was impossible. Next, management pulled the security footage, and that's when things went from strange to terrifying. They watched the footage from inside elevator 4. They saw an employee get in on the 14th floor. Press L for lobby. They watched the elevator descend. And then, just as the stories described, it stopped. The doors opened. The camera, positioned high in the corner, captured the employee's face turning from confusion to sheer panic as they stared out into an abyss of darkness. The footage confirmed it. The elevator was stopping, was opening its doors to this phantom floor. Panicked, the building managers called in the original architects and construction firm. They pulled out the original blueprints, every revision, every single schematic of the building. They went over it with a fine-tooth comb. There was no secret floor, no forgotten level. Structurally, according to the plans that had governed the building's entire existence, the space where that hallway appeared should be nothing but steel beams, concrete, and wiring. It simply could not be there. The experts were stumped. The architects swore it was impossible. The engineers confirmed it. Yet the security footage didn't lie. The employees' experiences were real. The elevator continued its mysterious, nightly pilgrimage. It became the building's dark secret, an urban legend whispered in break rooms. A warning to never ever take elevator for alone after midnight. The building is still there today. People still work late, and the stop still happens. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? An elevator that takes you to a place that isn't on any map, a place that shouldn't exist. Every time the doors slide open to that silent, dark corridor, it feels like an invitation, a question hanging in the cold, dead air. So let me ask you, if you were in that elevator, late at night, and the doors opened onto that impossible hallway, would you step out? Thanks for watching. If you have your own unexplained stories, share them in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more mysteries. Stay safe out there. Have you ever felt that prickle on the back of your neck? That sudden chill in a warm room? That feeling like you're not entirely alone? Tonight, we're diving into some of the most chilling, real-life ghost stories ever reported. These aren't just campfire tales. These are accounts from ordinary people who experienced something truly extraordinary and terrifying. So, turn down the lights, get comfortable, and prepare to be haunted. Our first story takes us to a quiet suburban home in Connecticut, the infamous Snedeker house. In the 1980s, the Snedeker family moved into what they thought was their dream home, only to discover it was a former funeral parlor. Soon after moving in, Their eldest son began seeing disturbing apparitions. He described seeing shadowy figures and hearing disembodied voices that whispered his name. The activity escalated quickly. The family reported being physically assaulted by unseen forces, seeing water turn blood red, and witnessing objects moving on their own. The mother, Carmen, claimed she was once mopped with filthy water by an invisible entity. The haunting became so intense that they eventually called in famed paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. The Warrens concluded the house was infested with demonic entities drawn to the dark history of the funeral home. The family fled, but the terrifying memories of what happened inside those walls have haunted them ever since. Next, we travel across the pond to England, to a place known as the most haunted house in the country, Borley Rectory. Built in 1862, this sprawling Victorian mansion was plagued by paranormal activity from the very beginning. The most famous ghost is that of a nun, who was allegedly executed centuries ago for having an affair with a monk. She's been seen walking sorrowfully through the gardens, her face filled with despair, but she's not alone. Visitors and residents reported hearing phantom footsteps, ringing bells, and seeing objects fly across rooms. One of the most famous investigators, Harry Price, documented hundreds of incidents in the 1930s. He captured photos of floating objects and recorded mysterious messages that appeared on walls. The rectory burned down in 1939, but the ghostly activity didn't stop. Even today, people who visit the ruins report hearing the nuns' mournful cries and feeling an overwhelming sense of sadness. Our final story is a modern one, and it comes from the digital age. It's the story of Dear David. In 2017, a writer named Adam Ellis started documenting a haunting in his New York City apartment on Twitter. It began with dreams about a strange boy with a dented head, who he called David. In the dreams, David would sit in a rocking chair at the foot of his bed, just staring. Soon, the dream figure seemed to cross over into reality. Adam started hearing strange noises in his apartment, and his cats would gather at the front door at midnight, staring intently as if someone was there. He bought a Polaroid camera to try and capture evidence. One night, he took a series of photos into the dark hallway. When they developed, a small, shadowy figure of a boy was clearly visible, getting closer and closer in each shot. The Dear David saga became a viral sensation, with millions following his terrifying updates. Whether it was a masterful work of fiction or a genuine haunting, it reminds us that ghosts can find us anywhere, even through our screens. These stories tap into our deepest fears of the unknown. Are they proof of life after death? Or are they simply tricks of the mind? Whatever you believe, there's no denying the chilling effect these accounts have. They make us question the world we think we know, and wonder about the unseen presences that might be lurking just beyond our perception. Sometimes, the most terrifying monsters are the ones we can't see. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the paranormal. If you enjoyed these spooky stories, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content that will keep you up at night. Sweet dreams. You've heard the old saying, right? That some rules are meant to be broken? Well, I'm here to tell you about a rule that you should never ever break. And it's this: never, under any circumstances, answer your door after the second knock. I know, it sounds strange. I thought so too. I'd never heard of it. Not until the night my life changed forever. The night I learned why the old folks in my town still whisper about the woman who knocks twice. It all started on a Tuesday, one of those miserably cold, rainy nights where the wind howls like a hungry animal. I was home alone, buried under a pile of blankets, binging some old horror movies. My parents were out for the evening, leaving me in charge of the house and my younger brother Leo. He was already fast asleep in his room upstairs. The house was quiet except for the storm and the flickering TV. Around 10 o'clock I heard it. Knock, knock. 2 sharp, distinct raps on the front door. It was loud enough to cut through the sound of the rain lashing against the windows. I paused my movie. Who would be out in this weather? I figured it was probably my parents. Maybe they forgot their keys. I got up, stretched, and walked to the door. I peeked through the peephole, but I couldn't see anything. The porch light was off, and the rain was just a blurry sheet. I shouted, "Who is it?" No answer, just the sound of the wind. I shrugged it off. Maybe it was just a branch hitting the door. I went back to the couch and hit play. A few minutes passed, and I was just starting to get back into the movie when it happened again. Knock, knock. This time, it was more insistent, louder. A chill that had nothing to do with the cold night air crawled up my spine. My heart started thumping against my ribs. This wasn't a branch. This was deliberate. I muted the TV and listened. Then, I remembered what my grandma used to say. A story I always thought was just a silly local legend. She'd lean in close, her voice a low whisper, and tell me about the woman who knocks twice. The legend goes that a grieving woman lost her child in a storm just like this one. Now, her spirit wanders, searching. She knocks twice on a door. If you open it, she sees it as an invitation. She won't take you. Oh no, it's much worse than that. She'll take someone you love, someone inside the house. Once she knocks that second time, someone disappears, and you never see them again. I always laughed it off. A ghost story to scare kids. But standing there in my silent house, with the storm raging outside, it didn't feel so silly anymore. My hand was shaking as I reached for my phone to call my parents. No signal, of course. The storm must have knocked out the cell tower. I thought about Leo sleeping soundly upstairs. A wave of protectiveness washed over me. This was stupid. I was letting a ghost story get to me. It's probably just some kids pulling a prank. I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself. I decided to ignore it. Whoever it was would eventually get tired and leave. I went to the kitchen to grab a glass of water, my ears straining for any sound. Nothing. I started to relax a little. Maybe they were gone. I drank my water, my back to the hallway. That's when I heard it for the third time. Knock, knock. It was right behind me. But it wasn't coming from the front door. It was coming from the door to the basement. A door that was always locked. A door that no one ever used. My blood ran cold. The glass slipped from my hand and shattered on the floor. I didn't move. I couldn't. I was frozen in pure, absolute terror. How? How was that possible? The legend never said anything about a third time. It never said she could get inside. Slowly I turned around. The basement door was still closed, but I knew. I knew she was on the other side. My mind was screaming at me to run, to grab Leo and get out of the house. But my feet felt like they were cemented to the floor. The doorknob started to turn. Slowly, so slowly. I couldn't tear my eyes away. The latch clicked open. The door began to creak inwards, revealing nothing but a pitch-black abyss. And from that darkness, I heard a voice. A soft, raspy whisper that sounded like dead leaves skittering across pavement. It said my name. Then it said Leo's. That was the last thing I remember before I screamed. People in my town still talk about it. They say a rule is a rule for a reason. And now I know why. They whisper about the woman who knocks twice. And they whisper about the night she came to my house. 'Cause once she knocks that second time, someone inside disappears. I broke the rule. I didn't answer the door, but I hesitated. I let her know someone was home. And now my little brother is gone. So if you ever hear that double knock, do yourself a favor. Pretend you're not home, 'cause some doors are better left unopened. Thanks for listening. If you like this story, hit that subscribe button for more. Stay safe out there. At 2:17 a.m., Laura's phone vibrated beside her bed. No ringtone, no notification sound, just vibration. But when she turned on the screen, her stomach dropped. The message wasn't new. It was time-stamped. July 14th, 2013. 12 years earlier. It said only one thing. I'm not supposed to be here. At first, Laura laughed it off. She assumed it was a system error, a delayed cloud sync, a corrupted backup. But then she noticed something else. The number wasn't saved in her phone, and when she tried to reply, the message failed instantly. No delivery error, no not sent alert. The message simply vanished, as if it had never existed. But Laura remembered it perfectly, because she'd seen that number before. On her brother's phone, the night he disappeared. Back in 2013, her younger brother, Daniel, left work late one night. Security cameras showed him exiting the building. Then, nothing. No farewell texts, no bank activity, no sightings, just gone. His phone was found 3 days later in a public park. On a bench, still charged, still functional, but completely empty. No messages. No calls, no photos. Even the system logs were wiped. Police called it a voluntary disappearance. Laura never believed that. After the message reappeared, Laura did something she had avoided for 12 years. She powered up Daniel's old email account. The password still worked. Inside, she found something she had never seen before. A single draft email, never sent. Created at 2:16 a.m. on the night he vanished, 1 minute before the missing text message. The draft contained only one sentence. If this goes through, something followed me. Laura contacted her phone provider. They checked the server logs, and then they went quiet. A supervisor later called her back. The message had not been delayed. It had not been stored. It had not been rerouted, according to their system. The message was successfully sent in real time. At 2:17 a.m. from Daniel's old phone number, a number that had been inactive over a decade. 2 nights later, Laura's phone vibrated again. Same time. 2:17 a.m. one new message. Same sender. This time it read, "It knows you can see this." She has never received another message since, but every year, on the same date, the exact same time, her phone vibrates once. No alert, no notification, nothing on the screen, just vibration. If a message arrives from someone who no longer exists, is it trapped data? Or is someone still trying to escape? No further explanation was ever found.